What are value streams and why are they so important? Today's 5 Minute Short brought to you by Success Mentors University. I'm Joshua Barnes and I'm joined by Al Shalloway. So, we've seen agile teams that have become very efficient at becoming feature factories, right? And we release something, we make a push out into production, and we celebrate. But are customers using that functionality? Are they getting value from it? If we've produced something, put it into production, but nobody's yet consuming it, can we declare value from it? Can we say that we've been successful? So one of the things that we want to kind of start getting into a bit today is for project professionals, for PMPs, right? They need to be looking at all of the pieces, right? Who needs to be doing the value adding activities for that value to not just be released, but to be actually consumed to be beneficial to customers. So Al, how about starting us off with a bit into value stream?
Yeah, value streams have been very dear to my heart now for about 16 years. I literally used value stream mapping back in 2006 to get a group that had 100 developers, and literally in an hour or two after we did some mapping, they were able to get a 20% productivity gain. Hour or two, no change to development really. It turned out value streams can be very useful to see where the problems are. Sometimes we look in the wrong place. So the value streams have that ability to see what's going on where we might not suspect. But it really has a lot to do more with what you were suggesting is what does it really take to get value? And
Yeah.
very often we get people building almost everything they need. I've seen places where they forgot about telling marketing and sales. So you've got this, or they didn't tell the customer and there's a feature out there nobody knows about. So the question is, how do you look at the entire uh, method of building so it's consumption when value gets consumed? That's what's important in an easy way. I love Edgar Schein's maxim: we don't think and talk about what we see, we are only able to see what we think and talk about. So value streams are a way to let us see all this. Like in that first example, they weren't looking at what the real problem was, so they didn't see it. So what we want to look at first of all is what are value streams? And value streams are basically from where you get an idea to give to a customer or an entity or somebody, because it may be an external customer, maybe an internal customer, maybe a business executive. How do you go? What are the steps from when you got the idea to building it, and then they get and consume the value? Not just you deploy it, it's when they
Yeah.
consume the value. So it's that whole circle through.
Yeah.
And I like to use the term concept to consumption to remind us that they have to consume it. Now, recently, people have been talking more about two kinds of value streams. There's no right way to break things down, by the way. I'm going to tell you how we break it down, but it's not like the right way. We've come up with the method we use in Amplio on what I think is the easiest way to convey it. I know people use like 14, I forget his name. There's another one who uses a couple dozen if you get real micro, but I'm trying to always keep things simple. So the first step is thinking you've got operational value streams. These are the value streams where you actually get value, you're operating, you're doing something. And then the development value streams, which create those. Alan Ward, I think, was the first guy who conveyed this, that development value streams create operational value streams. But operational value streams is still kind of too vague, because what about the customers? Okay. And I think they're kind of three general, again, just how we're breaking it down, not absolutely perfectly right, but you actually have customers. Okay. So let's keep that in mind. So we like to call those customer value streams because they're focused around the customer. These would be value streams where they get value or even get support, because that's a kind of value. So it's where the focus is, because guess what? You'll have support people in there as well, not just the
Yeah.
customers. So it's not a support value stream, it's a customer value stream, sometimes for support, sometimes for getting value. Another one that's well known is obviously operations is a kind of operational value stream. Uh, the fact that, well, you gotta have the machine set up as and interacting with people the right way. But then in addition to that, there's what we like to call business enabling value streams, which are like HR, sales, marketing. So we break things down into these four kinds. You've got customer value streams where they're involved in getting value. You've got operations, where it's like how you set up customers not involved, but how do you set up your IT infrastructure? And then business enabling like HR, other executive reporting, things like that. And it's the development value streams that build all of these. But that's not enough. There's one more piece. And I don't believe this is part of the value streams per se, but obviously you've got to, okay, well, what's the context within which all of these work? And I would suggest that context is the business setting up. We talk about it as strategies and maybe portfolio management, the high-end context for things. I like to call this part, we identify stakeholders and their success values. I've been talking to Tom Gilbo a lot over the last couple of years, and he talks about getting explicit about what success means, what are the values, who are the stakeholders involved. That all has to be done separate from these, not separate so much per se, like they are separate. They create the context for this. This isn't the value stream as much as is setting up the context within which other value streams do. So yeah, there's a fair amount here. But as I mentioned, Edgar Schein's comment, we don't think and talk about what we see. We only see what we're able to think and talk about. Notice that now we have this big picture of the customer, operations, the system, the company rather itself, and all of its internal things. We've got the development. We set up how all these interrelate with each other. And then we have the business creating the context. It creates a way to look at this complex system we call organizations, but from at least initially a simplified way of 5 or 6 things. And then we can delve deeper into them as we go and see the relationships as they're present. So one last thing, which is that you can imagine how an organization's conflicts are hard to resolve sometimes, but at least now we can see the driving of things, because you have all these stakeholders who want stuff and you have the limited capacity, always have a limited capacity. And in fact, the more successful you are, the more it'll feel limited because you'll have more opportunity. But this gives you a high view of relating. So this all sets the stage for portfolio management and resolving these issues by being able to see the entire picture with just a few facets.
Yeah, and last thing I'll mention is just the tie back into it's trying to look at the 4 value stream types, Al, that you covered, and all the things that need to be done to bring that value to a point where it does get consumed, right? Or it doesn't. And then if it's not being consumed, then well, maybe we're going to get some information. We're going to need to do something else.
That's right. Why is it stuck? Somebody is eventually going to say, hey, we're not getting it out the door. What did we forget? So the value streams become a way to validate that whatever we're doing, however we're tracking our work, we've got it all visible. I mean, transparency is a big thing. How do we know who's involved? How do we know what's involved? How do we know what our workflow is? The step-by-step process. So now we have a way to at least lump all that, and our focus shifts. And this is a big lean concept. You shift your focus from the people to the work, not because the people aren't important. They're of course important. They're the most important. But we should be able to trust them. But by attending to the workflow, they can work better. The value streams give you that visibility.
Absolutely. So thanks for joining us on this 5-minute short. If you have any questions, please post on LinkedIn. And if you're watching this on replay, please do the same, as well if you have any other topics you would like us to cover. We'll see you next time.
Take care.